Hello and welcome to another episode of Lizette Invita. Today we'll be talking to Judith Montenegro. She is a rising star in the Latinx community with a passion for outreach. So it should be interesting. Join me as we meet Judith and we make Caldo Tlalpeño. While I'm waiting for Judy to arrive, I'm going to go ahead and separate my chicken now that it's cool enough.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Oh, what a lovely plant.
For you.
Thank you.
Driving with a plant is much harder than you would think.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you for joining me today, Judy. I really appreciate you coming.
Me.
Well, have you ever made Caldo Tlalpeño?
No, I have not.
Well, to make the caldo, first I made a couple things. Before you got here, I obviously made my broth with the chicken, and I took it out and let it cool so that we can pull it. And then I also made a salsa so that it kind of speed up the process so you don't have to be here for hours. But if you don't mind, I'm going to start with the caldo. And what I'm going to do is, here, let's move over a little bit. Can you pull those apart, and then I'll just start with carrots here. And I'll chop them coarse. You know, they don't have to be like fancy or anything. So, but have you made this at home?
I've never made this at home, no.
Have you had it before?
No. So this is...
Oh, wow.
So I'm excited to try it.
So where from Mexico are you originally from?
I'm from the state of Durango, which is in the northwest of the country.
Okay. And how long have you been here?
My parents brought me to the U.S. when I was 8 months.
Where exactly did you grow up? Have you always been here in North Carolina?
So for the formative years, I lived in North Carolina. I was raised, I went up until probably 6th grade, and I lived in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Before we moved south.
Over there. So what I'm going to do now, this is calabacita, better known as zucchini. And I'm just going to, of course, chop this as well. So now, since I'm making it for 2, we probably don't need a full zucchini, but if you were making it for 4 or 6, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to put the zucchini in there as well. Let it saute a little bit. Those cook really fast. So after that, we're going to put our caldo that I made, the chicken broth. Mm-hmm. Excuse the noise. And then after that, I'm going to put the salsa that I made.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it smells smoky.
Yeah, because of the chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I read somewhere that you got a degree in sociology.
I did. I got
Why
a degree in sociology. I knew that I wanted to help in the community.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to become a social worker.
Ah.
But I then decided not to.
What drove you elsewhere?
Well, I started volunteering in the community, and the need for, organizing, and especially now,
right,
is so great that I have postponed, going to graduate school.
So what are your areas of concentration when you do outreach or work in the community? What are your interests?
So I work for the Latino Commission on AIDS, and we are a national nonprofit that addresses the needs of people living with HIV, particularly the Latino community,
right?
Nationally. But I work for a regional program because the Southeast is the epicenter of the epidemic.
On AIDS.
Mm-hmm. But it's also, what's interesting is a new destination for many immigrants, and the immigrant population grew so much that my program, Latinos in the Deep South, works at the intersection of immigration reform and healthcare access in the Southeast.
Wow. So you feel that AIDS, immigration reform in the Latino community are connected somehow?
Definitely. For people to access healthcare, there are many barriers for accessing healthcare. So immigration plays a huge role, especially in the Southeast, where there are contracts that exist between the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement and local sheriff departments and police departments. And so studies have shown that people are, even if you're a U.S. resident or U.S. citizen, you are more fearful of really addressing your health concerns, of interacting with health institutions, with other government entities. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of that in Alabama with their anti-immigrant legislation, in Georgia and South Carolina, where people were just not going to the doctor. They weren't sending their kids to school for fear of deportation, of that their health status, their HIV status will affect their immigration.
Wow, it's sad times.
It is.
Some garlic and a bay leaf in there. Have you ever smelled or eaten anything with epazote?
No. Well, I probably
I'm
eaten
sure
it,
you have.
but I don't think
It's very pungent.
it's like a mint. But
It is, but it's got more of an earthy undertone. And now you have to take this out. You cannot eat this. It's just that strong. So I'm just putting like one little branch of it just to give the soup some flavor. But please don't eat that.
Okay.
We'll take it out before we eat it. So I put the green beans in. What do you guys call green beans?
Ejotes?
Ejotes. We call them vainitas, which is maybe not a good word in some countries.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'm going to put the garbanzo. So this soup is mainly a garbanzo and chicken soup with carrots. That's really what's in it. What's mainly in it. So now that I have the garbanzo in, I'm going to go ahead and put the chicken. I don't have to put all this chicken, but because this is just you and I, but if I was making it for 4, I would definitely put 2 breasts. But for you and I, one breast should be plenty. So now we're just going to let that cook down a little bit, and it should be done in about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah, it's not, if you have all the pieces kind of put together, it's much easier to make. And you can make this in an evening. Right. It's not like it's a 30-minute meal.
Oh, perfect.
As long as you have, like if you have leftover rotisserie
right.
chicken or whatever, it's a perfect thing to use. So we were talking about you working in AIDS, and I didn't know if people knew this, but I did have somebody close to me that passed away from AIDS. So I kind of follow AIDS and stuff, but you don't hear much about AIDS in the Latino community and how it really is affecting the community. What do the numbers look like? I mean, are we bad, or is it getting worse? Or?
So it's definitely not getting better. And part of that is because still as a community, we have difficulty discussing topics like sex and injection drug use within our families. And so it makes it very difficult for people to seek treatment and feel comfortable getting tested and having those discussions with their children about what the risks are and how to prevent these risks. And so,
so what do the numbers look like in the South?
In the South, it's interesting because about 26% of people living with HIV that are Latino live in the South. And of new infections, that are occurring, it's a much higher number. It's closer to 35%.
Oh my.
So the Southeast, Latinos account for a third of those new infections, which means we have a lot of work to do when it comes to talking about HIV with our families, making sure, Latinos will not go to the doctor unless they're sick.
Now that President Trump is in the White House and he has vowed to get rid of the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, how is that impacting, or how do you think it will impact the Latino community? In not necessarily in AIDS, but in health in general, what do you think?
So we had North Carolina and Georgia had some of the highest enrollment numbers in that we were receiving. Both states were always in the top 10.
But of Latino enrollment, or just in general enrollment?
Right, in general.
Okay.
But we also are states with really large Latino populations that grew. And so currently, how this affects Latinos is that if you're someone with a chronic health problem,
Right.
a chronic illness, changes to the Affordable Care Act could mean that you could be charged higher premiums. Pregnancy was in prior years considered a pre-existing condition. So insurance companies could charge women more. So really it affects everyone, but especially the Latino and Hispanic population who historically have not engaged in accessing care through insurance.
Right.
And now that they have the opportunity, it's a way to learn systems, and now all of that is going to change.
Well, guys, it's a little grim for us. So where do you see the community growing? I mean, you're a young Latino leader, and I'm so glad that people like you are around, because people like me get tired after a while, battling battles, but we always need new leaders. What do you see you guys as challenges in the next, let's say, 5-10 years?
I think currently we're experiencing a lot of environmental issues where you have political parties kind of pandering to younger Latinos, and we've already seen historically what has happened with our parents, and so our reactions are not going to be the same. And so I think that there's a lot of criticism to millennials about how they what their vision is of work, and what their vision is of for this nation. And I think that is one of the biggest issues that separates how leadership looked back then and how it looks now. But I've seen how, relying on leaders who have been here and who have done so much good work impacts how we do work. And so we are seeing that we are returning back to a lot of the tactics that civil rights leaders were using that maybe were forgotten for a period of years.
Right.
And now we're back to kind of those basics that were laid out.
The soup is almost done, so it looks really nice and bright. See that? That looks good.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is just put our little condiments together that you put on top. So we have avocado, onions, chipotle, and then queso fresco is the other thing you put on top. So let me cut out a little bit of the queso here and cube it up for us. And then we can start eating this wonderful soup. So you just cube it up and then you serve this on top. Then we're going to go set up our table, and so we can eat and keep on chatting. What do you think?
That sounds great.
Hey guys, don't forget to like this page and follow us on social media and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye!